I have lived through unimaginable loss, and while it is safe to say that I will never know everything there is to know about grief, I have learned my fair share over the years. So today I want to share with you the top 10 things that I have learned on my grief journey in the hopes that maybe they will help you. Stay tuned. So first, the elephant in the room, you can see I'm coming to you from a different location today. I am actually in my classroom. The students have gone for the day. They had an early dismissal. It's my lunch break right now. I am gearing up because I have parent-teacher conferences starting soon. But I wanted to get this recorded so I could get it out this week. And it should be coming out on Thanksgiving. So if you are one of the people watching this on Thanksgiving, I just want to send you my love if you are grieving. And I hope that you are having as good of a holiday as you can under whatever your circumstances are. All right, I want to get right to it. So here are the 10 lessons that I have learned on my grief journey. And these are in no particular order whatsoever. And I should preface this by saying these are my lessons that I've learned. And I'm going to give my own personal examples. But like I said, I'm hoping that they will help you guys if you are still in the grief trenches. So here we go. Number one, grief isn't linear. In fact, grief is a giant effing roller coaster. One day I will feel okay. The next day I will feel miserable. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that grief is not a straight path. It is more like an ever winding road with a lot of potholes. Number two, it's okay to still laugh. I spent the first months after the loss of Libby feeling so guilty anytime that I would laugh at anything. But I've learned over the years that joy doesn't erase grief. It exists alongside it. And sometimes the joy that you can find is what will keep you going. Number three, people don't know what to say, and that is not your fault. You know, I used to feel angry or frustrated when people said things that were hurtful or what I thought were insensitive comments. And I've learned over the years that people just don't know what to say. And you can't take that personally. It doesn't mean that your pain isn't valid or that they're not acknowledging your loss. It simply means that our society still really struggles with grief and knowing how to deal with it. All right. Number four, you do not have to be strong all the time. I used to think that I had to keep my shit together for everyone else, but grief isn't something that you can power through or muscle through. Sometimes, honestly, you've got to let yourself crumble because it's part of the healing process. Actually, I can share a story from today. At our school today, we had an awards banquet for the 8th grade students. And if you've watched my channel at all, you know that this year, this class is the group of Libby's friends that I'm teaching. So she should have been in this 8th grade class. And at this awards banquet this morning, awards were being handed out and a bunch of her friends were getting awards. And I kept looking out at the crowd, just thinking she should be there. Like, why isn't she there in one of those seats? And I lost it. I was in front of the stage getting ready to hand out awards to the other students. And I started crying and I had to go kind of hide myself in a little nook and like wipe my tears and get myself back together. And thank goodness some of my coworkers, they kind of, check. They're like, are you all right? You don't have to go out there. And I'm like, I'm okay. and I'm like, all right, do I have any mascara on my cheeks? And I pulled myself together and I, went up and I gave my awards to the students that I was giving awards to. And I got through it, but I had to have that moment. Like I literally could not hold it in. I was trying to hold it in and the tears were just kind of like spilling down my cheeks. So you just have to do that sometimes. Sometimes you can't help it, and that's okay. Yeah, so this goes along with grief not being linear, because this is one of those days where I'm like, whew, okay. And I'm not pretending that I'm strong. I am letting those emotions come out. One, because I'm insanely proud of my kid, and I miss her, and I love her. And two, it's sad. Anybody who's human would be sad looking out at that audience, seeing all of your child's friends there, but your child isn't there. We're freaking human, so it's all good. Number 5, survivor's guilt is a beast, but it is also very human. I think everyone that goes through grief struggles with guilt in one way or the other. But I've learned that guilt is just a sign of how much we love our people and how much we wish things are different. So the guilt is really coming from a place of love. In fact, I think that getting a grip on our guilt and realizing that it doesn't matter how guilty we are, the only person that we are hurting is ourselves with our with our guilt. Once we can kind of get that through our thick skulls, that is where a lot of healing and grief takes place. But that's just my hot take. Number 6, grief is not just emotional, it is 100% physical as well. Grief has done a number on my body, and from all the people I've worked with and talked to, a lot of people deal with the same stuff. You have the brain fog, exhaustion. Exhaustion is so awful when you're grieving. You can be achy. You can feel like your body is shutting down. And that is all a normal part of grief. But I think it can be really scary for some people that their body is going through all this stuff. So really learning to listen to my body and to take care of myself physically as well as mentally was a game changer in my grief. My next lesson, you find strength in unexpected places. Since losing my parents, I have leaned into the things that they've taught me and the lessons I've learned, both good and bad, from the lives that they lived. And when I lost Libby, I did, and I still am leaning into that memory of her. And I am truly finding my strength as a person in carrying on her legacy and trying to live in a way that she would be proud of and that my parents would be proud of. Number 8, ask for help and accept it. Being the middle child and honestly, the dependable child who helps everyone in my family, I have gone through my life feeling like I needed to handle most things alone. But what all of my loss has taught me is that I can't handle everything alone. Sometimes it is just too much and you need some help. So I have definitely learned that leaning on other people and saying yes instead of a polite no thank you when people offer to do things for me is clutch in grief. So whether it is friends or family or an online community, sometimes even strangers that you weren't expecting who crawl out of the woodwork to help you, accepting that help is not weakness, it is wisdom. Number 9, healing never, ever, ever equals forgetting. I think for so many grieving people, we are afraid that moving forward in our grief and starting to enjoy things again means that we are forgetting our person, or like it's going to somehow erase the memories we have of that person. But healing is not forgetting them. It's not downplaying our loss in any sort of way. Healing instead is all about finding ways to carry that person with us into the future. Whether that's through little rituals, like I have conversations with Libby while I'm riding in the car, or through bigger traditions that you start in your person's honor. Every little bit of that remembrance makes a huge difference. And last, big number 10, even though they weren't in order, you can love and miss someone like freaking crazy while still learning to enjoy your life. Again, so many of us feel like moving forward is somehow leaving our loved ones behind. But what I've come to realize is that learning to enjoy our lives, finding those moments of joy, trying to have happy times is actually honoring our people and what they would want for us. And it doesn't have to be big, huge, momentous things that we're doing to honor our person, although those things are wonderful. It can be in those everyday moments of joy. It can be in a smile that we find when we remember something that reminds us of our loved one. I don't think anyone who has had a deep, deep loss doesn't understand that you are irrevocably changed forever. But it doesn't mean that that change is like a sentence of a miserable life, right? The grief sucks, but your life doesn't have to suck. And yes, since I just said that, I'm going to give a plug to my book, Grief Sucks, But Your Life Doesn't Have to. I will leave a link up here if you would like to purchase that. It just walks you through my own grief journey and all of the things that have helped me deal with my grief in a very raw, honest, sweary kind of way, if that's your thing. All right, so to wrap this all up, does grief change us? Abso-freaking-lutely. Does it have to define us? No, only if we let it. And if anything, it can teach us to be more empathetic and more kind and more appreciative of the little things. So if you are grieving, please know, I say it all the time, but there's no one right way to grieve. You just do what helps you. You take it one moment at a time, ride the waves, set small goals, and do what you can. So if any of these lessons resonated with you, share them with someone who might need to hear it. Let's remind each other that it's okay to grieve and it's okay to start healing. If you want to share lessons that you have learned in your grief that I didn't mention, I would love for you to leave them in the comments for other people to read. Or if you'd like to share which lesson resonated with you, I would love to hear that as well. As always, if you could like and subscribe, it would really help the algorithm. So I always throw that out there when I can, just to remind you. That is all for this week. Again, if you're watching this on Thanksgiving, I hope you're surviving. And as always, I am sending love and hugs. I'll see you guys next week.